the second episode of my vlog. In this episode, I will be starting a new series of 10 episodes called Beginner Basics, which will focus on the 10 beginner mistakes that beginners so often make, which are very easy to fix. These videos will just give a slight overview or a very quick overview. For more in-depth information, please book for my webinars or the workshops that I run in person. If you'd like to see a program of all 10 episodes, I will have that up on my website at www.writingcoach.co.za, and there will also be handouts to go with each episode. These are mistakes that editors very often see and which immediately flag a writer as a newbie writer who still has a long way to go. So if you can crack these before you ever submit to an editor, you'll be ahead of the game. In this first episode of the series, I'll be talking about POV. What is POV? Very simply, it stands for point of view, or the viewpoint of your character. Rather than dealing with your viewpoint as an author, this is actually how you're going to write at grassroots level from the character's POV. There are a number of different types of point of view. You can write in first person, which is where the character narrates the story from an I point of view. I am going to the market today. Or it could be a you point of view, which is very seldom used. That's second person POV. So I think the Choose Your Own Adventure series used to be written like that. So the character would say, or rather the words in the book would say, you go to the market. And the most common one these days is third person point of view, which is he went to the market or she went to the market. We've gone a step further than that. Nowadays, readers want to live into the story, especially if you write romance. They want to go on an emotional journey with the author, with the character. The only way they're going to do that is by getting very deeply inside that character's POV, and that is something we call deep POV or deep third-person POV. We'll look at that in much more detail in future workshops, but for now that you understand what POV is, how do you write it? Well, very simply, I have just 3 tips for you. Tip number 1, what does your POV character know? While I don't want you to place any limitations on yourself while you're writing, in fact, I prefer for you just to go with the flow and just throw your words out when you're writing the scene. However, when you go back to edit and to relook the scene, you need to go through it with a fine-tooth comb, looking at every single sentence. Is this something your POV character would know? Is this the way they would talk? Is this within their life experience? For example, if you have a character who was raised in a trailer park, would they know how to use all the proper cutlery at a palace banquet? If not, have another character explain it to them. If information has been given to another character that this one wouldn't know, then ensure that there is either a way for them to find it out or have them have limitations. We all have limitations in life. There is nothing wrong with your character not knowing everything. There's also nothing wrong with your reader not knowing everything. There's time for them to find out. We very seldom look at ourselves in a certain way or the way other people look at ourselves. So when you are inside a character's POV, be very careful of how you describe your character. For example, I know my eyes are blue. You know what color your eyes are. You hardly go around thinking all day, oh, my blue eyes are looking in that direction. So don't let your characters do it either. If you want to describe a character, rather have another character do it for them. For example, oh, I wish I had blue eyes like you. Or rather than switch POVs and show that description through somebody else's point of view. My second tip is, what does your POV character feel? This is especially important if you're writing deep POV and you want your reader to live into the emotions of the character and to enjoy this journey with them and to really get into your POV character's shoes. You need to know not just what your character is thinking and how they're reacting and what they're saying, but how are they feeling? How does it make them feel? And show this in visceral ways. A hammering heart. I know that's quite cliched, but try and think of other ways of bringing in what your character feels. My final and third tip is which character has most at stake. This is how you're going to determine whose POV you should be in the scene, especially if you're writing multiple POVs. Who is going to change the most in the scene? Who's going to lose the most? Who's going to feel the most? That's the character whose POV you should be writing from, because that's the character who's more likely to engage your reader. Another tip on writing multiple point of views is, yes, I know Nora Roberts gets away with it, and if you're a more experienced writer, you can get away with it, but don't head hop. Head hopping is what we call it when you jump from one character's POV to the next in literally the same sentence or the very next sentence, especially if you don't make it very clear that you've now changed POV. It's better, as a rule of thumb, when you are a beginner writer, stick to one POV for an entire scene. That way, the reader very clearly knows from the very first sentence, hopefully, if you've set it up properly, who the POV character is, and they can enter into their emotions and follow the scene through. But that is especially why tip number 1 was so important, because you don't want to then be jumping out of one character's POV and knowing something that that character couldn't possibly have overheard yet or know. I hope you found these tips on writing point of view useful. If you did, please subscribe to this channel, and please do come back and watch more episodes. Thank you.